of the first month of the second half of the year, and I'm here to tell you it's not too late to attack your dreams and try your best to achieve them. A good morning to you all. You are welcome to the Koko Digest Morning Show. I am your host, Yaira Awuno. We're coming to you live from the studios of Clogtv. You can also catch us on GoTV channel 184. And if you're not in the comfort of your home behind a TV set, you can join us via our social media. That is on YouTube and on Facebook for the live stream and all other social media platforms. Like, follow, subscribe, and share our posts as well. Now, today's conversations on our various segments are going to be pretty interesting. And on the lifestyle segment, we're going to be doing something related to our identity and some of the choices we make. Now, on the business segment, it's going to be about the mid-year budget review, post-review, of course. And on the main segment, we're going to be discussing domestic violence. So I'm sure you'll be very interested in all of these conversations. Sports will be bringing us sports news as always. And yes, like I was saying, I'm sure you're going to be very interested in conversation. So do well to call a friend, text a friend to join us in the various conversations. And don't forget to send in your comments to our WhatsApp number that will be displayed onto your screens and to our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. And a quick reminder, please do follow us via our social media platforms and also on our WhatsApp channel. Just look for Clogtv and, follow the channel and get updates on the various happenings all around the world. But for now, let's get our hearts prepared to be motivated. As always, as the week is beginning, we do our very best to motivate ourselves and to motivate our viewers also. And today's quote is by a renowned man of God in the person of Bishop T.D. Jakes. Bishop T.D. Jakes. And I'm sure a lot of us are, familiar with the name and some of his preachings and videos all over social media. And the quote today says, "Don't ask God to guide your steps if you are not willing to move your feet." Don't ask God to guide your steps if you are not willing to move your feet. And this is by T.D. Jakes. Now, this quote underscores a powerful truth about the partnership between the divine guidance and human action. It serves as a reminder that while we may seek God's direction in our lives through prayer, worship, or reflection, his guidance is not meant to replace our responsibility to act. Now, too often we desire clarity from God, but often we resist the discomfort, the risk, or discipline that comes with moving forward. Now, T.D. Jakes is challenging us to realize that faith is not passive. Like we hear, faith without works is, I have a few pastors here who can even take us deeper, but let's get quickly into the rest of the expansion of the quote and then we'll move forward. Now, it demands motion. Just as GPS can provide a route but can't drive the car, God may show us the way, but we must take the steps. Now, whether it's pursuing a new opportunity, ending a toxic relationship, forgiving somebody, or taking a leap of faith, we cannot sit still and expect the transformation. Biblically, the principle echoes James 2, verse 17. Faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. In other words, if you trust God to lead you, you must trust him enough to move, even when the path isn't fully clear. Obedience opens doors that hesitation keeps shut, and ultimately, this quote is both a call to courage and a warning against spiritual complacency. Don't pray for open doors if you won't walk through them. Don't seek purpose if you are afraid of process. God's promises are often fulfilled in motion, not just in prayer, but in our steps of faith. Now, this may sound like a Christian quote, but in essence, it even applies to our physical life. Sometimes you seek advice from a friend or a loved one about something, but you realize that maybe you're not ready to take the actions that has been given. And the same thing that applies to what we're talking about here, that if you're not ready to move your feet, then don't ask God to guide your steps. It's the same thing. And I hope that as you are also going through your day, you are seeking for guidance, be it from God, be it from an older person that, seems to have more wisdom, or anybody around you, please make sure that you are also ready to take the necessary steps. Human beings tend to get frustrated with one another, so if you don't take the steps, they will not want to continue giving you the guidance and advice you need. But God, in his ever-loving fatherliness that we know of, will continue to have patience for us and continue to guide us. But the onus lies on us to actually take the steps forward and be ready for the discomforts that comes with anything that we are seeking guidance for. I hope this quote has motivated you and inspired you as the week is beginning. And next is our online and print review with my co-host here with me, and we will be right back. Welcome back, and it's time for our online and print review with my co-host here. We're going to be talking about the trending stories, highlights of the week, maybe the past week even. So if you have anything to share with us, please do well to send it to our WhatsApp number that will be displayed onto your screens, or to our YouTube or Facebook live stream, and I will do my best to read them here. So my co-hosts are here with me in the persons of Mr. Peter Insia and Miss Miriam Adidi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yes, it's a new week. The first half is already gone. We're in the second half of the year. What advice do you have for your viewers?
All right. So it's always a pleasure to be on the Koko Digest Morning Show. And I would like to seize this opportunity to say good morning to our cherished viewers in the country and beyond. Yeah. So this weekend has been a good one. We all lost our favorite, our legend, Charles Kojo. And so we are all, we are mourning.
Yes, we are in mourning.
Yes.
Okay, so Peter, I didn't know you had ended. For me, well, a good morning to our viewers as well, and I really enjoyed today's quotes, not because it was from a religious leader, but, it's talking about faith, and I am an ardent, supporter of faith, because I believe that this world that we live in, everything is about faith. If you don't have faith, you cannot move to the next level, and so you did justice to the explanation. But adding up to what Peter said, I'm not surprised that came up from Peter, because Daddy Lumba is a father to all of us. He is deeply loved by every Ghanaian. I wouldn't say most, every single Ghanaian. And it saddens my heart because his songs are usually played at people's funerals. And this time around, his own songs are going to be played at his funeral. And so it is a sad moment for us. But just yesterday, the Creative Arts Agency came up with a press statement indicating that they are going to have a national candlelight vigil for Daddy Lumba, which is happening on August 2, which is this Saturday at the Independence Square at 6 p.m. And so they are entreating everyone to come. And just this morning, I also saw something in the news about our very own Ghanaian actor and comedian, Lil Wayne, also, voicing out his disappointment as to why the Creative Arts Agency fixed the visual night for Daddy Lumba on the same day he's also going to premiere his movie. And so he's highly disappointed, in the Creative Arts Agency, because he believes that most of the people that will be at the visual night are the same people that are going to, be at his premiere. And so he doesn't know why the date was fixed there. And so that is also coming from the camp of Lil Wayne. Away from that, moving into health, yesterday, Ghana recorded its first death from Mpox, with 23 new infections confirmed, bringing the total number of cases to 257 as of July 22, 2025. And so Mpox is still, in the news, and the Ghana Health Service is admonishing all Ghanaians to, observe the protocols, that is washing your hands under, running water with soap, and also making sure that you don't get into contact with people that are showing signs of the disease. And so that is what I have for the trends.
All right. So yesterday, to Government Accountability Series, yesterday was the turn of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Ayeni, and he touched on a lot of things that is happening in his ministry. But I would like to throw more light on what is currently trending. The government to replace Ghana School of Law admissions with national bar exams, and they said that this is in respect to their promise to reset legal education, and also they are going to make reforms that would pave way for more people to be enrolled in the legal system. And then he stated that as it stands now, there are about thousands of people with LLB degree who will not get to become lawyers because of the system we have right now. That is the Ghana School of Law admissions. And we all know how tedious it is. It is. Most people write and they get to fail. And so he says that the bill will be presented to cabinet, that is next month. And this is how the whole thing is going to be like. So if you are able, after the 3 years of schooling, to obtain your LLB, that is the degree, you would have to also take some practical exams. It's either you write the bar practice or what they call clinical legal program with the same institution you obtain your LLB degree from. Once you're through with that, then you are at liberty, or you have the right to also write what they call the national bar exams. And so this is going to do away with what we have currently, that after your LLB, the 3 years, program to obtain your degree, you'd have to write the entrance exams before you enroll yourself in the legal programs. And that's, spans for 2 years. That is full-time. But then if it is part-time, that is 3 years. Before you write other exams, before you write the final exams, before you be called to the bar. But he says they are going to ensure that they expand access. So with this, you just write your LLB, the 3 years program to obtain your degree, and then the institution you obtain your degree from, you also write the clinical legal exams, or the other one to also obtain, that is for a semester. Then once you are done, then you go ahead to write the national bar exams, and then you're good to go.
So with this, is there any reform in place for the fees as well?
Well, so like he said yesterday, they are putting measures in place. Now he's handing it over to his deputy to also go through to give his opinions about it. And then once everything is through, next month they will present it to cabinet for the necessary steps.
Right. So
okay, I wanted to add something. Are you done?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, it's not a trending story, but like an update. Yesterday, we had a media briefing organized by the African Association of Accountants and under the Controller and Accountants General's Department here in Ghana. And it was organized at the Labadi Beach Hotel. And the controller himself made a statement that I need to talk about. Over the years, even the Office of the Special Prosecutor came out with those ghost names, in our payroll system. And even just recently, Finance Minister also, uncovered some 14,000 ghost names appearing in government's payroll. And so, people have been wanting to hear from the controller himself what he thinks about this whole thing. And so he gave his thoughts. It came up in the questions, and then he answered them, and then saying that this time around, the department is going to engage their staff in biometric verification to ensure that the ghost names are cleared from the system. And that was what he said. And so in a press briefing held yesterday, just as I said, Mr. Kwesi J emphasized the urgent need for a collective effort to eliminate ghost names from the country's payroll system. And he also made a revelation as to, out of the revenue generated for the country, about 60% goes into payroll, which is very threatening to our economy. And so that is also going to be tackled. I know Clement will be having an in-depth discussion later in the show on that. So I just needed to bring that up.
All right. Well, with the ghost names and the biometric registration, considering what we've seen even with the National Service Scheme, sure, the problem may not necessarily be the biometric issue, but rather the people and the loopholes in the system. So in as much as they are trying to root out all the ghost names, there should also be something that can be put in place to be able to remove any access or any kind of plan to put in more ghost names again. So if the biometric registration, you know how, I think even on our phones, sometimes the facial recognition says maybe it requires attention. So if maybe you can have a camera system where when you're registering the person, you need to see some movement to know that, okay, this is a human being you're capturing. These things can all be factored into the code of the system, and then, you know, so that you don't have people going through the back and then typing names and then just uploading a picture to be able to show that, oh, yes, they've registered someone else. We'll keep having the same issue.
I was happy you mentioned that we are going to harness the use of AI and automation in their system as well. And so we are looking forward to that.
Yeah, in addition to that, I think there should be more of education. They should educate the people on how these things work so that you wouldn't find yourself wanting. At least you know the right thing to do, so that in case somebody wants to, you know, use the other way around to do things, you would disagree with the person.
And I mean, we have our Ghana cards and all these national identification cards that have our photos. So if after capturing and then your Ghana card is also there, there should be that facial recognition that could verify that, okay, it's the same face on the Ghana card. So that these ways, then the IT people will need to maybe level up, or the people who are trying to, you know, put in more names will have to level up their game. And by the time they do that, they would have been caught. Then, you know, some of these issues would be resolved. Now, let's go into the digitalized newspaper quickly, and then we move forward. Yes, Peter, I hear you have the daily graphic.
Yes, so I have the daily graphic, and on the front page, 32 years ago, I've bid farewell. Daddy Lumba foretells death. MPs call for state-assisted barrier, and that can be found on page 27 of the daily graphic. We also have Senate Strategic Investment Stabilized Economy. DG touts achievement at Diamond Jubilee launch. We also have Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman launched the 60th anniversary of Senate. This can be found on page 13 of the daily graphic. We also have ensure to protect yourself against uncertainties. Insurance companies urge Ghanaians. We also have GTech begins arrest, prosecution on honorary PhD holders. This can be found on page 28 of the daily graphic. Area, this is what I have.
All right. So, Miriam, I hear you have the Mirror.
Yeah, I have the Mirror newspaper with me. And on the front page, we have Meet Justice Kweku Aka Boafo, jurist, educator, and ethics advocate. Mr. Kweku Aka Boafo, who happens to be one of the justices appointed by President John Dramani Mahama, you know, as one of the people making waves on the internet recently, because he came out to describe this as not just an opportunity, but it's also a privilege for him to, you know, show his professional experience at both the bench and also the bar as well. And so that is why we are having him on the front page this morning. And we have other stories also. Do we need a lot of lawyers in our society?
Yes, we do.
That is a question being asked there. And we also have, don't worry about push gifts. This is from Dr. Wache. Lately, we've been seeing push gifts, you know, trending on, you know, social media. I mean, when we talk about push gifts, I mean, the gifts that are given to women after they are delivered of babies, like their children. Like if you give birth, So, Peter, when your wife gives birth, the gift you're going to give to her, doctor is saying we shouldn't worry about that. We have to read more into that to get, his actual perspective on that. But I think it is something that motivates, women to have more babies.
It goes beyond motivation because we know that for the longest time, childbirth has been one of the causes of maternal mortality and even infant mortality. And to be able to survive such a feat, I mean, what is wrong with being appreciated? It may not necessarily be something that is a necessity, but then we shouldn't also downplay what exactly women go through in that labor ward, or even from the 9 months all the way down to delivery. Anyway, the need for lawyers is actually important because I remember we had lawyer Libert here, and we were talking about medical negligence at a point. We even talked about surrogacy, and you realize that, and even with the law school issues you were talking about, you realize that there are so many facets of the law that a lot of people are not aware of. A lot of people are not privy to a lot of information that even in setting up a business, there are certain laws to also follow. We have so many different aspects of the legal, system that if we had people, so sometimes you realize that maybe, I think this guy, maybe Hash Papi, I don't know if you remember Hash Papi being arrested and all of that. His lawyer is definitely not a family lawyer. Yeah. Or somebody that deals with family law. His lawyer is probably somebody with maybe criminal law degrees or something maybe related to immigration. So all these things are necessary, and if in Ghana we only seem to have a certain group of lawyers without the others, what happens when a situation crops up and people are in need of defense? But then, I mean, when we read more on the story, we will know more. We have a comment here. Go into the online story quickly. This one says, "Good morning, Koko Digest. We are all sad. Daddy Lumba will be missed. Rest well, sir." And this is Apam from Kumasi. Then this one says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. And Ghana and ghost names on our payroll. It is well." This is Darko Derek from Pam Pam. Derek, please say what is on your heart. Now, the online stories I have here, the very first one says, "Government imposes total ban on arms in Nalerigu and Boku amid rising tensions." So it says here, the government has announced a total ban on the possession and use of arms and ammunition, as well as offensive weapons in the Nalerigu, and Boku townships, as well as their surrounding areas, effective immediately. The announcement was made on Sunday, July 27, 2025, by the Minister for the Interior, following recommendations from the Northeast and Upper East Regional Security Councils.
I just wanted to correct you. The name of the town is Nalerigu.
They spelled okay. Nalerigu.
Nalerigu.
Okay. So it's not Nalerigu like we used to. Oh. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you for the correction.
Anyways, but moving into the news, the ban on arms is something that I would say is a good, decision from our leaders as to because of the effect it is having on people around. It is a great move, but for me, this is not the first time this is happening. We are banning arms in this country. 2 years ago, we saw how intensive the Boko conflict was, and it led to a ban, of arms and ammunition and other things. And just this year or late last year, we started experiencing another intense, conflict over there at the same place. And so my question goes to the enforcement of these, strict measures. Because if you say we've banned people from using ammunition and then arms, yet people still have those things in their rooms. They are using them anyhow. How effective is this going to be?
There's also the issue of the fact that people have been made into henchmen and foot soldiers. So they are where the attention should be directed, because I think we heard that some gunmen attacked the senior high school and killed a number of students there, and we know very well it is not the leadership that did that. It is the henchmen. But as to where the source is, that is also another question. So now what we need to probably do is educate more people on the fact that being the one to do somebody's dirty work does not benefit you. You may get some 1 or 2 coins, or you may be overzealous about the fact that maybe your tribe or your whatever association you are affiliated to needs to gain the power or whatever it is that you're fighting for. But in the end, is it worth it? Is it worth your soul?
So for me, I would like to pick it from this angle. You know, as part of the Government Accountability Series, we had the Minister for Interior, Muntaka. So during his, speech, he made mention of the fact that the Interior Ministry is also putting measures in place. They say it is a worry, so they are putting measures in place to actually help, curb this kind of thing. So they are looking forward to get an arms detection device, which they would use to actually get citizens who are having, arms illegally, who are possessing arms illegally. And also, they also said that the small firearms ammunition bill is currently in Parliament. They are working towards it to get some, legal backings for this. And then it will interest you to know that, a lot of people possess, arms in this country illegally. Now, when you take into consideration the registration of the, the firearms and all that, it doesn't tally up. And then also there's something, people are refusing, people have forgotten, and that, the framers of the 1992 Constitution made it possible for people we call the blacksmiths to repair imported arms. But then the law prohibits them to manufacture locally, guns. But these people hide somewhere and produce these guns. And this is as a result of what we are seeing in this country. And then I can make mention of some of these hotspots. We can talk of Swami Magazine, and then this Boko, where the conflict is ongoing. Because these are places where, these locally manufacturers are and producing these guns. And then when you go to the villages, the common ones you see is what, I don't know, it's called Tiabo Frey.
Okay.
Yes, those big ones. All these ones are in this country without, proper registration and licensing. And then talking about the Boko issue, it is getting so intense that it is, affecting other parts. And then what transpired in Kumasi recently about the killing of the chief, some, police officers by investigation are linking what is actually transpiring at Boko to that issue. And then we can even talk about what is actually transpiring here in Accra. And so we understand that the Otumfuo Osetutu II is actually helping to resolve the issue at Boko, that is between the Kusasis and the Kusasis and the other tribe. And so I think it is high time we separate, chieftaincy issues from, criminal activities. For people to possess guns and be killing people just anyhow. Now, reports indicate that from 2021, when the issue escalated till now, about 300 people have lost their lives. Those are, the numbers that we've been able to record. So apart from, there are others, I know the figures, yes, thousands, yes.
So I'm even looking at it from the angle of the impact on civilians, because in as much as this is, going to reduce weapon-related incidents and the rest, some civilians also have arms as, self-defense. Like, they use these things to defend themselves. If you are caught in a crossfire somewhere in Boko, and then you also have something, a gun or something with you, you can also defend yourself, right? So there's also going to be an impact on civilians who seem to be very vulnerable, law-abiding civilians, and then, And so we should also look at it. I'm just being objective about this.
I also think there should, with that situation, there should be some sort of inspection, because I remember one of the days, sometime back here, we were talking about, registering and licensing of, our ammunition. And it means that if you have a weapon, you have a license, you have it registered, the officials can cross-check to find out if truly you possess this weapon before the conflict started or during the same time, because there should be dates and times for the registration of these things. But then again, this issue is quite similar to the Galamsey issue in the sense that all these weapons and ammunitions being acquired by the civilians just like that, these things are quite expensive. So we know that it is not ordinary that somebody, or we have gunmen who actually have these things. So somebody is investing in this for a reason and having these people man them. So as much as there's a ban to, there needs to be some tracking of who exactly is investing in these things, who is getting all these weapons and equipment for these men, for them to be doing their dirty work. This is another place we need to look at critically, because if you've caught one group of henchmen, you've maybe imprisoned them, you've confiscated the weapons. Another is like Ukuma Pembeba or something. It's like what's the other one? The Hydra. You cut one head off, another sprouts. So if we don't go back to the root, which is those leaders who are in conflict, sitting with them, because I know that sometimes there's a likelihood that you may come and try to do some conflict resolution with them. They may behave as though they are compliant. The next day they've sent one or two something to happen, somewhere. So I don't know how exactly it's going to be, but it should not be looked at from just the root, but also from the source as well.
So I agree with you. So I think it's high time they sit down, because like Mimi said, this didn't start just yesterday or today. Over the years, they keep up sending military men.
Or should they bring them to the Supreme Court? All of you come and state your claim and let's see.
They keep on sending military men to help, curb the situation, and also imposing curfew on them. I think that it is not working. I mean, if you, calculate the amount invested into this whole thing, I think
it's a lot of money.
Yes, that place could be called the San Francisco of Africa, because if you have to use that money to develop that place. So I think it's high time they go deeper, they check the history, they check, what do the people they really want. I mean, so
let's shift them to the Supreme Court to have the...
I would lastly like to add that there should be consistent traditional leadership engagements. Like there should be a dialogue with them, because weapon ban is like you are reacting to something, but peace building is proactive. Sure. You are planning ahead, because this thing is not going to stop. And so they need to consistently talk to the people, educate them. Your life is at risk. Like some of them don't even know the essence of death. Like, talk to them.
Just the zeal and passion for their affiliations.
And then
we see this with our political parties. So,
what is making it more serious is that right now it's kind of target killing. And then some sort of retaliation. So those two groups, if this group, they could also kill somebody, the other group also
retaliate.
So if you kill one person, they will kill two. And once you kill two, they also, and the number keeps increasing. It's very serious.
So we have a few comments here, but before I read them too, I was also thinking about the fact that since Ghana adopted the Western systems of governance and divided the country into regions and things like that, the chieftaincy and monarchy or monarchical systems that we had in our various ethnic groups and things like that lost some amount of authority. And certain people still try to enforce that, and I think it's one of the things happening here. So I don't know how exactly the government is going to be able to try to let them know that, look, we understand you are the chief of this place, but there's a higher authority. So you must abide by the rules of that authority, because you are not above the law. Now, if the law states that you should cease fire, we expect that you do that, because now this person, who probably is the president and all that, can actually dictate one or two things that should happen. We can have a system of governance that would scrap all forms of chieftaincy, and there would literally be nothing we can do aside protest.
I'm just waiting for a chief to be arrested so that I'll see how it's going to go.
The thing is, like you rightly said, democracy is all about majority carries the votes. But then in our traditional system, it's not about majority carries the votes. So that is where the issue is.
I wanted to make a comment, but I don't want to have to go and apologize.
People are watching.
Because it's more like we have the Otumfo, right? King of the Asante Kingdom and everything. But there is no way, based on our system of governance, that he would, make a declaration that the president would supersede the president's authority, because he's the what's the word? Something of the land, man of the land or something, which is a higher power over the Otumfo. So in situations like that, I'm using the Otumfo because it's the mainly popular one. So now bringing it down to the smaller ethnic groups, they also need to understand that there's an authority higher than you. You may be the owner of a few lands and a few people, but you need to respect the laws governing the land on which you are in. But let's take the comments and then we go to the next segment. So this one says, good morning, Koko. Since the Ghanaian government has imposed a total ban on arms, ammunition and offensive weapons in Naulerigu and Boku townships due to rising tensions and violent incidents, a curfew has also been imposed from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily in both locations until further notice. And government has put a measure which aims to restore peace and stability in the affected regions. Let's see how this goes. This is Asante from Adenta. Then we have, good morning, everyone. Can GES come out because... Can GES come out with this because the SHS students' evacuation from all the schools in Boku, and because WASI will also be starting pretty soon? We want GES to speak. I have my child now at home due to this. She's in SHS 3. GES must speak. Oh. Now, this is from Abeka, and he's from the Upper West region. So, yes, there's also the aspect of GES, but...
Because there are schools.
Yeah, there are schools there, and innocent lives are at stake. Yes.
So look as if the whole issue is about power struggle. For now, so to calm nerves down and to do the needful, like, right, she's saying, I think since it's about power struggle, why don't make the two, township and autonomous body for now? So that, because it's about, power struggle. They says, hey, I'm overload of this and this, you can't control and all that. And now things that progress is retarding in those communities. Now, like, schools are not running, lack of hospitals and all that. And then what baffles my mind is that these, these people around those communities are, encircled. And even to get something, they get escort to get it. So where do they get, the ammunitions from? And so, like, they should just make these two, towns autonomous bodies for now to allow, other systems to run. And then as time goes on, they will find better ways to.
They should transfer the students to other schools.
There are so many lands in Accra. They should give some of them to them. Like, come and be a chief in Accra.
Now, this brings us to the end of the online and print review. Next is the lifestyle segment with Miriam and her guests, and it's on a topic relating to your identity. Please don't go anywhere. Do stay tuned.
Charles Kwejo Fosu, our very own Daddy Lumba, and we all here at Clogtv, the entire Ghana, everyone is mourning Daddy Lumba because he is, very dear to our hearts, and that was a way of welcoming you to the lifestyle segment here on the Koko Digest Morning Show. We are sad, but we still have to have conversations that has to do with our lives. And so today on the lifestyle segment, we are going to be having a discussion on identity crisis. We want to understand some decisions we make that really reflect us. And in the studio with me here are two amazing, personalities, and they are going to help us with that education. I have Mame Jansima Macmillan, who serves on the Scripture Union Accra Area Campus as the Vice Chair, and we also have Mr. Martin Nana Kwame Tufo Asumedu, a staff of the Scripture Union Accra. And so just as I said, the conversation is going to be on identity crisis, making decisions that reflect, the real you. And so don't forget to send in your comments to our WhatsApp number, which is being displayed on your screen right now. Send us a text. Let us know, some of your identity crisis, and we will tackle all that for you on the segment, and also via our streaming platforms, Facebook and YouTube as well. Hello, Mr. and Miss. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Koko Digest Morning Show on Clogtv.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start from the roots. Let me start with you. When we talk about identity, what does it mean to you personally, and how does one's understanding of their identity reflect the choices they make?
Okay, so when you talk about identity, it's the sum total of a person. It's a person's sense of being. So who the person totally is, your characteristics, your values, everything. But then we're looking also at biblically. When you want to know what identity is biblically, you cannot do it outside of God, because the Bible says God created us in His image and in His likeness.
Right. Do you also share the same thoughts?
The same thoughts. In fact, she's answered everything.
She's answered everything. Yeah. Okay. So we live in a society where everyone seems to be searching for their identity. I want to know who I really am. I want to know. Yet people still struggle with identifying who they are. What do you think are the causes?
Okay, I think that they are looking at the wrong places.
They are looking at the wrong places.
Yes.
Okay.
In the cases where even Christians are looking at the wrong direction to perfect themselves, to look at who they are, that is how come they are missing it. This scenario where a car is made from Toyota, and then the car develops a fault and it takes it to Hyundai. Definitely, Hyundai people.
A problem,
yes. So I think that in order to be able to find ourselves who we are, we should go to our maker to be able to help us know who we are.
Exactly. Let me come back to you, Mami. Even with those with strong faith in God, still struggle, in identifying who they really are. Do you also share the same causes?
I do. Like he said, they're looking at the wrong places. Now, there are a lot of, social media, for example, tries to define people instead of going to the main source, like the one who created you, the one who made you. So let me give an example. Imagine using a guitar to drive a nail through a wall. It's abuse. I mean, the guitar is not made to drive nails. It's a hammer. The guitar is made for music. So people look to the wrong places, and that is when they struggle. They struggle with what they're doing.
I was happy when you mentioned social media, because it's one place where we find a lot of the youth, on. And identity crisis will have, an impact there. Will have something to do there, because people now view themselves, as what they see on social media. To you, what do you think is driving that?
On social media, everything is perfect. When you go on social media, if you have any skin flaws, makeup can actually hide the flaws. If the person looks in a certain way, dressing can actually hide those flaws. So when they go to social media, it paints a picture of perfection. In that case, when they come to themselves and they are not seeing that perfection, it becomes a struggle. So they begin to look at social media thinking this is what it is supposed to be, instead of turning to look at who God has made them to be.
How do we look at who God has made us to be? How do we tend to look at who God has made us to be?
Can I take this one? So, let me use some examples in the Bible. Okay. So when we take Queen Esther, for example, her beauty was needed, you know. She needed to save Israel because when they were in captivity, they were going to be killed, right? Now, this is Esther, who is supposed to be praying for her people, and she's supposed to go and see the king on their behalf. What happens is that she dresses, the Bible says she dresses in her very nice clothes, and then she goes to see the king. Meaning, at that point, Esther's beauty is required. Now, when you look at someone like Rebecca, it's a different scenario here. Okay. The Bible says that Abraham sends his servants to go find a wife for his son Isaac. Now, the servant didn't know how to get this wife. And so praise to God that, Lord, as I am going, the woman who will give me water, or who will give me water and then also water my camels, is the one that I will take home as the wife. So give me someone like that. And then this person sets out. Rebecca was at the well, saw this man. The man asked for water. Now, the Bible actually says that Rebecca was a very beautiful woman. But at that point, unlike Esther, it wasn't her beauty that was required. Right? It was service, her ability to think very fast, and then even her strength, because how many women will really offer to go fetch water? And considering her what is it called, her pot, right? How many trips would she have made to water the camels? You know how camels drink water. How many trips would she have made? So if she had depended solely on her beauty, she would have missed it. She really would have missed it. Unlike Esther, who at that point needed to present her beauty to gain favor from the king. So when you decide to look elsewhere rather than the creator, rather than God who made you, you're going to miss it. You look at God, he has made you unique. I mean, your identity, you stand unique. Nobody is like you. And then you look at him, whatever you have to be really comes out of you.
Do you share the same?
That
was very deep.
Yeah, very, very deep. It's true. All of us have different thumbprints. That tells us that God has different agenda for all of us. We have different identities, the mindsets, the ideas, the ideal, everything. And so what he's saying is very true, and I agree with that.
Have you ever found yourself, you know, in experiencing an identity, you know, crisis?
Oh, yes.
Share with us. We would like to know briefly. And how did you come out from that?
Okay, so when I was growing up, I actually intend to become a Catholic priest.
You actually look like one.
Oh, amazing. So when I was growing up, I was trying to look at, dress like them, walk like them, talk like them. Instead of being my real self. Yes. So it got to a point in time I realized that I was looking at the wrong direction. I was looking at men, wanted to please men, wanted to look like them. It was turning to scriptures, realizing that God has an agenda for me. He has a purpose for me. He has the things he wants me to accomplish and all that. So I think that all of us passes through such things. But me, what held me? Scriptures.
Mohammed, let me come to you.
Yes.
Share with us your identity crisis, you know, moment, if you had one, and then how you came out from that.
Yes, I remember I read news on Sunny FM, and I know when I met JJD, you know, she's the morning show host in Sunny, and when I met her, I love her voice. She's such a powerful radio voice, and I really desired that. I wanted to be. And she kept looking at me and said, no, Mommy, you have to be you. You know, God has also given you your own unique voice. So find your voice. I remember that was the exact word she used, find your voice. That I had to practice. And then at a point, she says, no, you sound too high. You know, I have a very small voice naturally. You sound too high. And that was when I was able to understand that I didn't have to be like her. I needed to find me.
Right. And so from where you sit and what you do, how can you tell that someone, you know, is exhibiting false identity? What are the signs that they can see in that person and see that you're not being yourself?
Signs like that are pretty obvious. Depression. the person gets depressed because it's just like fitting a round peg in a square hole. It really doesn't fit, right? And you find yourself trying to be like someone else. Meanwhile, if you really go deeper inside you, you find that whatever God has placed inside you really makes you a little comfortable. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but then you find that through your steps, God orders it. Let me give an example of Joseph. Joseph, God showed him a dream that he was going to be like a very big person in future. He didn't have the details, but this is the same person who went through trials, like his own brothers sold him. But through it all, God was with him. So he knew, you know, he had that comfort, and it affected his attitude towards everything he did. He was even put in prison for what he did not do. However, even when in the prison, he was put in charge. So it was preparing him for whatever assignments that God had given him. So sometimes we may feel a little discomfort, but the most important thing is to go back to your maker, go back to your creator. He is the one who made you. He has all that for you.
I can see you nodding your head.
Yeah.
What do you also have to say about that?
I agree with her. So yes, we all have faces that, just like I said earlier. But turning to God is what answers everything. So people would go through the depression classes just to relieve themselves out of depression. But you realize that when Christ sets in, depression ends. And so our true identity is found in Christ. And when we turn to Him,
I'm very happy you brought in. You want to add something?
Yeah, there's something I want to add. And you know, a lot of times we feel that we have to be someone else rather than ourselves. For example, as a hostess of this program, right? Without the cameraman, you will not be sitting here. Right. And what this means is sometimes we think that, oh, I have to be the face of the Koko Digest. I have to be the presenter. Meanwhile, the person who is operating the camera, exactly. I can give an example in the Bible. You know, Anna, the Bible says that Anna prayed for the coming of the Messiah. Question, what if that was her purpose? What if that was all that she came to do? Pray for the Messiah to be protected. And the Bible says that once she went to the temple, once she saw the Messiah, she now said she can now depart in peace. So she knew what, God had really called her to do. I like what Bishop T.D. Jakes also said, that when you take Moses, it looks as if all that Moses' mother had to do, her purpose was just give birth to Moses. Imagine that. So it means someday, if she stands before God, when Moses gets his reward, for bringing Moses forth, protecting him, for him to enter into Pharaoh's home, it means a big deal. But she might not. Maybe she had some pride, thinking, oh, is that all I'm supposed to do? You understand? Like today, must I be the face of Koko Digest? Must I be at the forefront? Meanwhile, whatever role you are playing, as long as you find yourself in the will of God, I think will help a lot.
That's very deep. But I have to say that Mommy takes her water. If you're just joining us, this is the lifestyle segment here on the Koko Digest Morning Show. We are streaming live on Facebook and also YouTube as well. This conversation is very, very deep. And so I hope you grab your, notepads and be jotting some, scriptures and other necessary details as to identity crisis and also making decisions that reflect the real you. Now, let me come to you. I wanted to say that I was happy when you mentioned Christ. So it means you are someone who is rooted in Christ, right? And you said one of the ways you got yourself out of identity crisis was the scriptures. Now, how would you say your identity in Christ has, transformed your life, career-wise, relationship, business, anything? How would you say?
Sure. Christ is the center of everything. So, how scriptures has transformed my life. One of my favorite scriptures is Colossians 3:23. It says that whatever you do, do it as if you are doing it unto God and not unto man. When I chanced on this scripture, it changed how I study, how I do everything, practically everything. Because now the perception is I'm not doing it unto man, but unto God. And that has shaped my personality. At first, I used to be this lazy guy. I read a lot, but instead of learning, I relax. But when I chanced on this scripture, I realized that every time that I have, I'm spending it with God. In every relationship, I'm doing it for God. Every sacrifice, I'm doing it for God, and not unto any man. So that has changed my personality from being lazy to being an active person and then working tirelessly.
Yeah, it sounds easy, but it's not that
it's not
easy.
at all.
So, Mama, let me come to you. The walk with Christ is a walk of faith. How would you say, you're a mentor right now, you mentor a lot of people in your way. How are you going to, advise the people looking up to you on their walk with Christ, knowing how difficult it is?
Okay, so first of all, the foundation of a building is not visible, but then it's strong enough to hold the entire building. As Christians, we know that our foundation is in Christ. Right. So first and foremost, what I usually advise young people to do is to chase after Christ. And the Bible said you seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Every other thing you desire will actually come to you. So the more of God you have, the more you focus on God. The Bible says that you will hear a voice saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. So walking with God, you may make mistakes. It's just like a child who's learning to walk. You may make mistakes. But the point is, if you're close with him, where you have to turn, he will tell you, no, this is the way to go. Sometimes we find ourselves really not listening, but God is better than a GPS. He will reroute you, and at the end of the day, you will find yourself just like Joseph. You may make a mistake, you may do something, but then God is able to bring you back on track as long as you keep walking with him. There has to be that relationship. So if there's no relationship, then it becomes difficult to really hear him. If a child walks in right now and she's your child, when you hear the child say, "Baby, I'm coming," we will hear it as an ordinary person talking, but then you will be able to identify, this is my child. It's the same with our walk with God. Once you walk closely with God, it's easy to identify his voice.
That was very deep.
Yeah.
When you said God is, more than a GPS, it really hits me. I was like, that's right, because this morning when I was coming to work, I just said that, God, please, I need immediate transportation. Like, I need to get to work as fast as I can. And so please provide. Just at the junction, I got a car, and then it brought me straight here.
That's amazing. And it tells you God is very much interested in everything that you are interested about. Yeah. And you can only know this only through the word of God. That's the sad part. And a lot of people, instead of spending time with the word, would rather look away from the word. And we find ourselves in trouble, then we begin to turn. Meanwhile, you could have gone faster than what you're doing now.
Yeah. Let me take your concluding, remarks.
Okay, so my concluding remarks, in fact, she said a lot. I was working with her, Che comes Che, and then at Tema, and we got lost. The map, he said that the Google Maps only work in East Legon. Jesus is not like that. Yeah. Jesus works everywhere. He's everywhere. So if you truly want to find yourself, you have to look to him, and he'll help you identify yourself.
So I heard you have an upcoming program.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Okay, sure. So Scripture Union Camps is 73 years old.
Producer, can we have the flyer displayed?
73 years old this year. And this year, we are having, Accra area is having our camps at Ghana Christian International High, Dodowa. And we're having it across Ghana. As we speak right now, Kumasi is starting their own today. Okay. And then Tema area is starting their own next week, and Accra would follow. After that, Kaswa will follow. Scripture Union Camps seeks to touch every aspect of our lives. It's a holistic camp. So we have sports in it. You tackle your spiritual aspect, your cognitive, every aspect. So you have a world and you want the child to develop, not only to become an intellectually corrupt person, there's somebody who is intellectually brilliant and is stealing, but who is somebody who is intellectually brilliant and is spiritually too brilliant. We recommend Scripture Union Camps for you.
Do you have an age range?
Yes, please.
It's from 6
to 18 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is that a child learns to live like a full day, right? So you wake up in the morning, the kind of activities we do there, wake up, we teach you how to have your quiet time. The sports, it means you need the exercise bit. You take your breakfast before you go on to the day's activities. And I know we've had testimonies from parents. Hey, ever since my child came back home, now she wants to do her quiet time every day, and I think that helps a lot.
I see.
It's true.
And so, is it free?
No, please.
Highly subsidized. Highly subsidized.
It's highly
Like
subsidized.
everything.
Okay.
So we conclude.
So we are charging 400 cedis for
per kid.
Okay. And 400 cedis. We have a pre-registration period which is ending 31st of this month.
Okay.
And when you come to his campsite to register, it's 420 cedis.
Okay.
Yes, please.
But online is just 400.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
400.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Mame Jansima Macmillan is the vice chair with the Scripture Union Accra area campus, and camps. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And we also have Martin Nana Kwame Tufo Asumedu, a staff also with the Scripture Union Accra. And let me just draw your attention to something very important to our viewers. We are experiencing a slight technical challenge at the moment, and our engineers are currently working to restore service shortly, but we are still live on our various social media platforms, and so just get that information. We are working on that very shortly. Thank you so much, my guests, for making it.
Thank you for having us.
I used to be a member of SU. Is it the same SU?
It's the same SU.
Okay.
Same SU, still making impacts, transforming lives.
Yes.
SU.
It's us.
Okay, so thank you very much. This is all we have for you on the lifestyle segment. Now it is time for some celebrations. Let's take this breaker and then we'll get into it.
I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday. I heard.
And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. Now let's get into our birthdays for today. Okay, before we have our first birthday celebrant, Mr. Martin Nana Kwame Tufo, my guest, says today is his birthday, and so we are wishing him a happy birthday. God richly bless you for all that you do. Now, do we have some birthdays for today? Okay, so a very, glorious birthday going out to my friend Sewa inside Amasaman. Sewa, happy birthday. Thank you for always watching Koko Digest because of me, and you are loved deeply. And a happy birthday also to our, celebrants we had in the previous weeks, and also advance to those, ahead of us. Now, Benedict Nketia Kwating is standing by to take us into the world of sports. Okay, he'll be joining me here. Okay, so Benedict will be joining me right now. So we have our sports segment. But before that, let's take this quick break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. Our very own Benedict Nketiah-Kwarteng has joined us in the studio and he's about to take us into the world of sports. But we'll have to talk about Daddy Lumba. Benedict.
Yes.
Daddy Lumba.
Oh.
So let me ask you a quick one. Where do you think his funeral should be organized? Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast?
Okay, so he has spans all over.
All over.
So in my opinion, I think it should be spread across. Maybe the last burial rites in his home, which is here in Accra. So, but before then, they should hold, funeral days where we celebrate him
so
across everywhere.
If not, the Kumasi people will beat us here in Accra.
Yes.
Anyways, what do you have for us today?
Yes, it's been a great weekend. The football fans all around the world, welcome back to the Sports Update segment. My name is Benedict Nketiah-Kwarteng, and over here, there is nothing but the best in the world of sports, and we are bringing you the best, covering both local and international games that has been happening throughout the week and over the weekend. Now to the headlines. Black Queens honored after WAFCON bronze victory. Nigeria wins $1 million prize at 2024 WAFCON. Dreams FC named Winfred Dorman as new head coach. And then lastly, Bayern agreed deal worth 65.5 million euros with Liverpool for the years. Now to the main story. Ghana's Black Queens were met with a joyous welcome at Kotoka International Airport on Monday, celebrating their third place finish at the 2024 WAFCON. The team secured the bronze medal after a dramatic 4-3 penalty shootout victory over South Africa, following a 1-1 draw. This achievement marks their first podium finish since 2016, sparking renewed optimism for the future of women's football in Ghana. Hundreds of fans gathered to meet the team, showing their support with cheers and national pride. The Nigerian Super Falcons have made history, winning the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations (WAFCON) and a record-breaking $1 million prize. In a thrilling match on July 26, 2025, they defeated Morocco 3-2 with Jennifer Ngichini scoring the winning goal in the 88th minute. This victory marks their 10th WAFCON title, solidifying their dominance in African women's football. The prize money, double that of the previous tournament, highlights the Confederation of African Football's commitment to boosting women's football by improving pay for players and staff. And now Dreams FC has named Winfred Dorman as their new head coach upcoming season. Dorman, who has been with the club for over a decade, brings a wealth of experience, including previous assistant coaching roles under notable coaches and a successful stint leading Dreams FC to the Access Bank Division 1 League title in the Galka Top 8 tournament in 2018. Served as interim coach at the end of last season. Dorman is now tasked with preparing the team for this new season, including pre-season training and integrating new players. And finally, Bayern Munich has agreed to a deal with Liverpool for Luis Diaz, valued at 75 million euros, including add-ons. Diaz was left out of Liverpool's recent friendly due to the transfer speculation. He is set to undergo a medical in the coming days. Liverpool has already signed a new forward and is also interested in Alexander Isak. Diaz joined Liverpool in January 2022 and scored 41 goals in 148 appearances, with his most prolific season being 2024-2025, where he scored 17 goals. Bayern Munich, the Bundesliga champions, are looking to strengthen their squad after a season where they reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And that is it for the sports update segment.
Before we leave,
okay.
In my next life, I would want to be a footballer. Ask me why. Someone is being paid 65.5 million pounds.
Yes.
I want to be a footballer.
Oh, I think it will be worth it. Worth it because looking at the money footballers are making, it's quite good.
Okay. Sorry for that. My producer is just on my neck that we should sign out. So Benedict, thank you for taking us into the world of sports.
Thank you for having me.
Up next is Clement Yabankwe taking us into the world of business.
Good morning, welcome to the Koko Digest Morning Show. And this is the business update segment. We are going to have discussion, two different discussions. First is around the Association of African Accountant Generals, and the second part of the discussion, we are going to look into the 2025 media budget review. We just want to know that is the budget really reflecting the true performance of the economy? Is it really giving us what we Ghanaians really want to hear, or it's something different altogether? But before we move into that discussion, I said earlier, we are going to talk about the Association of Accountant General. Yesterday, they had a press conference. I'm talking about the fact that there's going to be the third annual conference, and we will be discussing to know the details of all these conferences. Why are they there? What is really going on there? And why are they doing it in Ghana? I have with me in the studios Mr. Jean-Pierre Boussenseje, who is the Director of Communications Stakeholder Engagement. Yes, and I also have Mr. Bruce Moiwa. Please, I hope I'm correct. Yes, who is also the one in charge of public communications or public affairs. And we are going to move straight into discussion. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
You are always welcome.
Thank you very much.
But before we dive in, what is all about Association or African Association for Accountant Generals?
Thank you very much for having us. We are happy to be here in Ghana. So the African Association of Accountant General is a Pan-African platform that brings together the offices of accountant generals from across Africa to discuss solutions, to discuss policies that advance public finance management across the continent, and positioning the office as a driver of economic and sustainable development. Briefly, that's what I can say. Currently, we have over 22 members, but we want to go entire Africa. So we are coming from the East and Southern Africa Association of Accountant General, and through discussions and engagement mostly driven by the African Union, we decided to go entire Africa. Let's also ensure that we become a Pan-African platform for knowledge sharing, for solution seeking, and for driving PFM to drive Africa's sustainable growth. So briefly, that's who we are, and that's what we are working on. We are based in Lusaka, but of course working with the offices of accountant generals from across Africa to drive sustainable PFM systems across the continent.
Thank you very much. Sustainable PFM systems across the country. So let me now go to the Technical Director for African Association of Accountants General. This time around, you are selecting Ghana, specifically Accra, for such a conference. We'd like to know why. Why Accra this time around, or why Ghana?
Thank you very much, firstly, for hosting us, and also to allow us to talk to your viewers. Now, that's a very important question that you asked. Firstly, the choice of Ghana came in through because of the strides that Ghana has made in terms of making advances in public financial management reforms. You'll be happy to know, and your viewers, that Ghana, I think, across the continent is looked up to as a beacon of excellency in that space. They've invested quite heavily in terms of financial reporting. If you go to the website of the Controller and Accountant General of Ghana, you'll be able to find financial statements. Financial statements meaning those reports that shows how the Republic of Ghana earns the money and how it spends it. And they've made tremendous progress in the sense that they've enhanced transparency. The fact that you'll be able to go on the website and find those reports, how the government is spending the monies, how the government is earning the money, it shows the level of transparency. Then secondly, Ghana has also invested in a lot of innovations. As you are aware, we're moving into a digital space. So the investment in terms of the financial reporting processes where citizens can be able to engage. So we thought Ghana is already demonstrated excellency as a hub and a leader in public financial governance. So other accountant generals look up to there, it's a vote of confidence in the office of the Controller and Accountant General of Ghana by his colleagues from Africa to host this conference so that they'll be able to share experiences and the like. And also you look at the cultural diversity, the cultural richness of Ghana. So it provides us an opportunity for Africans from across the continent to come and learn, to come and appreciate the cultural diversity, the cultural richness of Ghana, the economic hub. It also showcases Ghana as a preferred destination for conferencing, meetings, the facilities, the cultural heritage that we have around here. So that was a decision that was made by the Executive Committee, which is the board of the African Association of Accountant General, to bring the conference to Ghana, so that we bring in other compatriots, other Africans from across the continent to come and appreciate the rich diversity in Accra. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I'm so proud to be a Ghanaian because of how the Controller Accountant General are really making waves across Africa. So I called the Controller Accountant General. I think in your press statement, it stated that Ghana is leading the way in PFM, reform and digital transformation, and we look forward to sharing experiences and learning from others. Do you really agree to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I've indicated, Ghana has led the way in that space.
Okay.
They've provided systems, processes, and what would refer to as best practices in public financial management. And definitely it becomes a beacon of excellency where other accountant generals will be able to benchmark and see what lessons that they can pick from there. But added on to that, like my colleague has alluded to, we provide a platform for information exchange. Okay. There are equally other countries in Africa that have made tremendous progress in that space. So this platform then provides an opportunity for other African countries to learn from what Ghana has laid the foundation on, what they've built the successes on, but also for Ghana to be able to benchmark with other accountant generals in terms of what they've done. There are equally other accountant generals that have done. So it provides also an opportunity for Ghana to benchmark and see what sort of areas of improvement that the Office of the Controller and Accountant General can make on. And this is the basis of our existence. It's information exchange. It's a platform for improvement on the systems that each country has established.
Thank you so much for that. A very quick one to Mr. Jean. I think the name I'll get this time around. Why do you focus on public financial management?
Well, we are talking about accountability. We are talking about transparency. We are talking about strengthening governance systems. So if you look at public finance, it's the driver of economic growth, economic development. How do we now use the resources that are available to our countries, to our societies, to our government to ensure that the Africa that we want, the Africa of tomorrow, is a sustainably developed and inclusive economy across the continent. So public finance management is at the center of everything that we are doing to achieve development. We are talking about resources. We are talking about how we use the little that Africa has, how we ensure efficient management of the resources to develop our continent. And that brings me to the theme of the annual conference. We are looking at Africa of tomorrow, positioning PFM for a developed Africa. So how do we position PFM to achieve the Africa we want? That's the point. We are talking about, my colleague talked about accountability, transparency in the management of resources, strengthened economies. Everything we do revolves around resources.
Sure.
It's the driver of economic development. So when you have systems in place, when you have robust mechanism to manage the resources that you have, then you achieve your goals. So Africa has a long-term vision of becoming an all-inclusive, sustainable, developed economy. So PFM is the center of that. So 2,000 people coming to Ghana to discuss how we address the challenges but also look at the solutions that Africa is adopting and putting in place to drive its economic sustainability.
Thank you so much. I would just want us to move straight into the conference. We know there's an upcoming conference. We'd like you to give us more about it. Where is it going to take place? When? Who are expected to be there? Is it only members of the association and the members of Controller Accountant General Department, or we want to know more about this annual conference which is coming to place?
Thank you very much. Firstly, to start with, this conference is will take place from November 24th up to November 28th here in Accra, and it will be held at the Accra International Conference Center. Then in terms of the participants, the target audience, basically we are looking at, it will bring over 2,500 participants from across Africa. In terms of who we're expecting, it will bring thought leaders in public financial management. It will bring development partners to come together to the table and discuss. International stakeholders and development partners from across the world. We'll have public financial management experts from across the world, from Ghana and the rest of Africa. We'll have public sector accountants. So it's not just the Office of the Accountant General. We provide a platform, and this is one of the leading events on public financial management. We just indicated to you in Arusha, Tanzania, we had over 2,000 people coming in. Here we're expecting over 2,500 people coming in to discuss matters related to public financial management. And maybe for our viewers who may not really understand what public financial management, in simple terms, we're talking about to discuss matters of how government raise the money. You just talked about the budget. It's a question of how does government raise the money. Then secondly, how does government spend the money to ensure public service delivery, including the usage of those resources. If the money is raised from the citizens, is it being spent in the right way? Public financial management also enables through reporting the usage of resources, the assets. Government should be able, through the Office of the Accountant General, to be able to know they enough to be able to cater for the service delivery? Are they in the best of the conditions through accounting and the like? So this is what this conference will be able to discuss, to bring all public sector accountants from the Auditor General's office, from the Accountant General's office, and those that other people that are interested in the public financial management space. Now, you may also wish to know that bringing in 2,500 accountants and other experts, policymakers in government sectors and government representatives, by the way, means a lot to the local economy in Ghana. What does it mean? Firstly, we're talking about the transport sector, the hospitality, the service industry sector. So those are bound to benefit from that. The lodges that will be hosted, the lodges and hotels that will be hosting the 2,500, they would need, those 2,500 would need transportation. They would need to buy goods from there. So we think that it's an opportunity for the rest of Africa to come and partake and contribute to the local economy of Accra. And by our estimation, we're looking at indirect spending in the region of $4,000 million. That's the equivalent of, I think, over 40 million Ghanaian cedis that will be placed in here. And as Triple AG, we have this policy. When we are hosting a conference in the host country like Ghana, the spending is going to be done in there. So meaning the procurement will be done in Ghana. So the businesses in Ghana are going to benefit through there. And also these ripple effect that will trickle down to the country. Partly you would see that the 2,500 delegates that we bring in, part of them will be paying visa fees. So that contributes to non-tax revenue to the treasury as well.
Thank you so much. I think it's going to be very wonderful and very, very amazing. We hope to have more discussion about this conference even before it's commenced in November 24th. So for the sake of our time, I just want to take just a quick word from you to our viewers. What do you like to tell them just in just a second?
In just a second, let's work together to strengthen PFM systems across Africa. Let's all strive for transparency, accountability, but also support each other in terms of knowledge sharing and capacity building so that we can achieve the Africa that we want.
Thank you very much. Please, Mr. Bruce.
Public financial management is not an isolated incident. It requires involvement of all stakeholders. Come through, we dialogue, we discuss, and find the common solution to the challenges that we're facing. If a business be part of this organization, there are sponsorship opportunities. There are opportunities for business to be involved in transportation, in supply of goods and services and the like, and also for the delegates watching us, for the public sector accountants in Ghana, it's also an opportunity for them to be able to interact with their colleagues, to be able to gain a knowledge in terms of what other public sector accountants in Mauritius are doing, in Zambia, in Tanzania, in Rwanda are doing, and they'll be able to pick up lessons from there.
Okay, thank you so much to Mr. Bruce Miawa. Am I correct?
Mwewa.
Yes. And Mr. Jean-Pierre
Puchensenje.
Puchensenje. I think I need to go to France. Just to learn all these words. So it has been so amazing and wonderful discussion. It's all about public financial or public finance management. And it's very important because we need to know how the economy is booming. Is it on the right path? That's why about discussing the budget. You need to understand all these things so you know that are the leaders really doing the right thing. But thanks to God, from the African Accountant Association General, they are saying that Ghana Accountant General is doing a very good job. And that is a good news to us all. And thank you for watching us. As we said, we are not done. Right after this break, we are going to dive into the discussion of the media budget review. We are going to know that is this really going to solve the problem that Ghanaians are talking about, or it's not going to solve. Stick and stay here with us. We'll just be right back after this short break. Good morning, welcome to Business Update segment. Yes, as we told you, we'll be discussing the media budget review, and that's what we'll be doing in 30 to 40 minutes on this very show. We just want to know that did actually reflect the right happenings in the economy, or there is something we are supposed to take a critical look at. But before then, we just want to have a discussion or a quick one from the media budget review on the screen, which will tell us the revisions that government has done in terms of revenue, in terms of expenditure. Then we look at the VAT. Especially people are talking about the fact that COVID-19 must go, but this time around COVID-19 is still in. We want to find out why. Why is COVID-19 levy still in the budget, or we are still charging the COVID-19 levy? So please, producers, let's get it on the screen, a quick one, so that I would introduce the guests and we just have a discussion around it. So on the screen, you will see so that's what we have on the screen, revision to revenue. Initially, projection was around 227.1 billion Ghana cedis, and it has been moved upwards to 229.9 billion Ghana cedis. And let's look at the reason why government has made such a decision. Let's get to the next one. Government is saying that because of the introduction of the fuel levy, as we call the D levy, is going to give us an amount of 2.9 billion Ghana cedis. That is why we could see a revision in terms of revenue. Let's take a look at the next one. This is the expenditure. Initially, they projected to spend around 270.9 billion Ghana cedis, but now they are saying that it has been revised downwards to 269.5 billion Ghana cedis. Let's look at the reason why government is really doing this. He says that this upward adjustment reflects an increase in allocation to support energy sector payment. So this is why we could see that the expenditure has actually gone up by that margin. Let's get into this. Our public debt, as we speak now, is that due to the prudent management of the economy, specifically the exchange rate, we've been able to save some amount of money. So let's take a look at our public debts. This is the description of public debt. As at December 2024, we were owing an amount of 726.7 billion Ghana cedis. As of June 2025, we owe an amount of 613 billion Ghana cedis. There has been a reduction of 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. And as I read earlier, the reason was what I said earlier. Let's move to the next one, which is also still on the exchange rate, because the government is saying that exchange rate has contributed significantly to that kind of saving. From January to June 2025, the dollar has appreciated, or cedi has appreciated to dollar at a rate of 42.6%. And when you go to the pound sterling, that is 30.3%. The euros is 25.6%. And this is what is really happening in the economy. All these things are from the media budget review. This is our VAT reforms. This is where the question is. Why is COVID-19 still in there? People are calling that should have been looked at. But there's a reason they gave. The finance minister said in the 2025 budget statement, we reaffirmed our commitment to the people of Ghana and the business community to undertake comprehensive VAT reforms this year. So that is what the finance minister said. He said these reforms are aimed at addressing the distortions and cascading effects inherent in the current VAT structure. Let's move on to the next one. So when you get to the next one, you get to know the kind of VAT items that are going to be taken off, the kind of VAT items that are going to be taken off, the kind of VAT items that are going to be taken off. So that is what we are talking about. So as I said, we have in studio Mr. Nelson Kujo Kwaboji, who is the head of finance at Meban Capital. He's a tax practitioner, a financial analyst, and we also have Mr. Stephen Kwashi, also a financial analyst with us, who are going to give us detailed analysis on all these happenings. But I want to start with Mr. Nelson. Last Thursday, the finance minister read the budget. We would like to know, how do you see the budget itself? Does it reflect the true happenings in the economy? Do you see a life in it?
Okay, thank you very much. my brother. Good morning to you and good morning to our viewers and listeners. Yes, it is true. On Thursday, the finance minister presented a mid-year budget review. And for me, there were two significant events that marked the presentation. The first one has to do with the walkout that was staged by the minority.
Yeah.
You know, budget presentation or mid-year budget presentation are accountability forums where the finance minister comes to give an account of how the public purse has been utilized over the period.
Okay.
So it is only prudent and advisable that the minority will stay in the chamber, listen to the presentation, because in any case, they have to go back to their constituencies with the accountability that the finance minister has brought to the house. But they boycotted the presentation. To me, it wasn't the best. I mean, the issue that they raised regarding the boycott has to do with the Ablekumanov incidents. And to them, to the extent that the president has not commented or issued a statement to that effect, that actually warranted the walkout. I think that was actually overblown, and that will not deepen and promote our parliamentary democracy. The second significant event to me has to do with the time that the finance minister used to present the mid-year review.
Okay.
Normally, mid-year reviews are normally short. They are not like the normal end-of-year budget that takes so long a time. But I think the finance minister took his time to eloquently present, the review to us. And for me, the presentation actually reflects the happenings within the economy.
Okay.
As an analyst, I can only compare what was in the past and what is actually happening today. And I'll give reasons to what actually led us to where we are today. Now, when you look at most of the indicators that he mentioned, inflation at the end of December was 23.8%, and that has moderated to 13.7% at the end of June 2025. If you look at our reserve has also shot up by about some 2.1 billion Ghana cedis, from about 8.9 billion to a little over 11 billion dollars, $8.9 billion to about a little over 11 billion, dollars, which actually represents about 5 months or 4.7 months of import cover. The minimum is normally 3 months of import cover. What it technically means is that if there should be anything that goes wrong, at least we should be able to import into the country minimum for 3 months. Then another indicator that was worth talking about is the stability of the CD. You realize that the last time I came here, I enumerated 4 economic policies that actually affect a country. We have the fiscal policy, macroeconomic policy, exchange rate policy, and structural policy. And when you're able to manage your exchange rate policy very well, it affects the other policies. You rightly mentioned that it is as a result of the stability of the CD that actually accounted for the reduction in our debt stock. And it is true. When a country registers budget deficit, there are 2 main ways of financing the deficit. You either borrow internally or you borrow externally. Now, when you borrow externally, the external borrowing will be denominated in foreign currency. Okay. And so when we decide to go and borrow in dollars, it means that the money that will come into the country will be in the form of dollars. Also, we'll have an external component of the debt.
Okay.
Now, take for instance, if today the CD is trading at 10 Ghana cedis, then you go and borrow in dollars, let's say 100. So 100 times 10, that will give you 1,000 cedis. So in your books, we just had the public financial management people trying to educate us. So when you are preparing your account, you are going to recognize 1,000 Ghana cedis as a debt, as a payable in your book. Now imagine that the CD to the dollar shot up from 10 Ghana cedis to 15 Ghana cedis. It means that you need more cedis in order to pay your external debt. Yeah. And so your debt now in your book will be 1,500 Ghana cedis instead of what? The 1,000 cedis. And so when a country arrives at managing its currency very well, what it means is that it impacts positively on the external component of its debt. In fact, that was the reason why we saw that the debt actually reduced from 726 billion Ghana cedis to about 630 billion Ghana cedis as a result of the stability of the cedi that actually reduced the external component of the debt. And then finally, when we talk about our GDP growth rate, our economy has grew significantly. First quarter, the economy grew by 5.3%. That was largely driven by agriculture. Agriculture actually grew by 6.6%. And so generally, I mentioned inflation already. So you realize that most of the macro indicators that we have, the government inherited from the previous administration, they are actually doing well. Now, the finance minister also mentioned list of certain items that the prices have reduced.
Yes.
Well, when I think some market women were saying there was a divided opinion as to whether it is true or it is not true. But if you look at it generally, for the very first time, we had trade unions like TUC, like GUTA, calling on their members to reduce prices. That actually tells you that the economy is actually being managed prudently. Okay. The last time I came here, I made mention of the fact that government is not actually spending. Yeah. However, from the indication that was, presented to us, a lot of expenditure. The only side of the expenditure that is really not coming forth is expenditure that will actually provoke economic activity. For instance, paying of contractors. You see, every economy where the construction sector is booming, it creates a lot of jobs. And it also grows the economy. Because when you pay 2 million or 3 million Ghana cedis to a contractor, you expect the contractor to actually go and buy iron rod. Yeah. The contractor will go and buy cement. The contractor will go and buy water. The contractor will need laborers. So it provokes some level of economic activity. Sure. And so I think that we have seen for the very first time in recent years that an economy is being managed prudently. The only thing we hope is that it will continue in the same dimension so as to give some relief to we individuals and also businesses alike.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson, for this analysis on the media budget review. Mr. Kwashi, did it prioritize what you were expecting to be prioritized in the media budget review? What you got hold of? Do you think the priority was given to what it was supposed to be given to?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think largely the government is following its plan. Okay. When they read the first budgets, they indicated that they want to stabilize the economy, so that businesses and other aspects of the private sector would also grow. So I think they are on the same path. Okay. And Mr. Nelson has actually elaborated on the statistics, the numbers. These numbers are so favorable. If you compare it against even 2020 first quarter or first half, you realize that these numbers are greatly, improved. Now, in terms of, sector, for me, I focus on the agriculture sector. Not for anything, but because the agriculture is the main driver of our economy. And he rightly said, our economy grew to 5.3%. And agriculture is the great driver. Now, if you have agriculture being the great driver, like he said, the minister spoke a lot in parliament. He did so well. I think for the first time, we have, a finance minister that is speaking to, the realities on the ground. But in mentioning agriculture, he mentioned it 7 times in his speech.
7 times?
Only 7 times.
So many you were monitoring?
I was monitoring because my eyes is in fact, I want the agriculture or the finance minister actually to be liaising with the agriculture minister so well that, when he's speaking, we should have a sense of what agriculture and what he's saying. So everything is fine on the macro level. I love what is going on. And I want that the focus on agriculture should be increased because where the improvement is coming, that is where we need to master. Agriculture is helping us. We need to put more effort into agriculture, and I think a lot of dynamics in our economy will begin to change.
Thank you very much for that. People or per the budget realize that the projected deficit as at 2025 main budget, which is around over 60 billion Ghana cedis. Now, when you check the calculation, it's around 40 billion Ghana cedis, just slightly above. And people are asking the question that are we sure that we will not end up spending more than what you've projected for?
Okay. So that is a very good question. Let me give you some statistics here.
Okay.
It is true that every now and then, when budgets are presented, we normally overspend. We call it budget overrun. Yeah. We always overrun the budget. However, you realize that the line of action that this government is doing is all about fiscal discipline. It's all about fiscal prudence. Because the challenge that we have had in the past has to do with wastage in expenditure. You realize that, the expenditure is just all over the place. But this government is trying to streamline the expenditure to the extent that certain expenses that were paid in the past, this government has said going forward, those expenses will not be paid.
Okay.
For instance, government made it clear that they will not be paying a DSTV subscription for political office holders. Government also made it clear that there will not be fuel coupons for political office holders.
Exactly.
There was also, this directive that has to do with the traveling, that when you want to travel, you seek an approval, a prior written approval from the chief of staff. And so you realize that these are what is actually culminating into the reduction in the total expenditure. Now, you mentioned the fact that people are saying, well, we have seen it in the past. Are we not going to have another expenditure overrun?
Sure.
Well, from where I sit and from the analysis I have done and from the posture of this government, you realize that fiscal discipline, fiscal prudence is actually the bottom line of this government. However, in the past, for instance, in 2020, we overspent the budget by 14.7%. We had a budget overrun of 14.7%. In 2021, we had a budget overrun of 21.1%.
Okay.
In 2022, we had a budget overrun of 37.4%. Then in 2023, it came down to 19.4%. And finally, in 2024, the budget overrun came to 22.4%.
Okay.
Now you realize that the minister has not made any significant revision to expenditure. The only thing that shot up the expenditure has to do with the energy sector expenses, because the G levy that was supposed to come earlier couldn't come at the right time. So government, through the consolidated fund, we're still trying to satisfy certain obligations within the energy sector. And so that may short up the expenditure a bit. However, the good news is that the government has revised its revenue target, I think from 227 to 229, as a result of the energy sector levies. So when we continue in this dimension, when we continue in this wasteland with the fiscal prudence that the government is doing, I don't think that we will overspend the budget. The only issue has to do with the fact that when you look at the typical government financial statement, we have compensation, we have expenditure on goods and services, we have payment of interest, then we have a payment to other social intervention and other expenditure. Now, according to the minister, the wages, the compensation aspect of the expenditure, for instance, if you take salaries, they have identified over 15,000 ghost names on the payroll.
Exactly.
And also, there were over 53,000 separated workers.
Yes.
When we say separated workers, we are looking at people who have resigned. People who have, they have separated themselves from government. They are no more on government payroll. But those people were taking salary to the tune of over 150 million Ghana cedis. Yes. So I think that we need to really look at that, because every now and then we continue to hear issues of ghost name. And it's like, they will say, oh, we have cleaned the ghost name. But the ghost names they keep on coming.
That's the question. How come the ghost names are still
Exactly. So the issue of ghost name has to do with the point of validation. Now, in the public sector, every month, I know for teachers, because I'm a teacher myself, I know for teachers, before your salary is paid, your secretary supervisor must validate you for the month that you are at post, you are working. But it is human being that do the validation.
Exactly, exactly. So I think thank you for that. I want to get to this. In the budget, he made mention of risks to 2025 physical framework.
Yes.
And issues we are talking about is some of the risks.
Yes.
And when you look at the risks, he made mention of the fact that shortfall in customs revenue is a key risk, and the smuggling of marine gas oil. He also talked of mountain wage pressures and pricing and award of contracts in foreign currency. I think with this, in the back of Ghana brought a statement that we are going to deal with the issue of dollarization of the economy. So just want to take your thoughts, Mr. Kwashi. This is the risk associated to our fiscal framework, fiscal framework 2025. What should the government do? What approach or what are we supposed to do to make sure that this 4 shortlisted risks will not affect us? At the end of the day, we might likely to have budget overrun or expenditure overrun as what we rightly experienced over the years.
Yeah, I think like he said, the discipline of government, in managing its expenditure is great. And this discipline must result into punishment for those who actually go beyond what the government has actually, put in place. If you look at the port revenue was expected to reduce when our currency began to appreciate. Same way our public debt reduced. The same way our expected revenue through foreign currencies will also reduce.
So but it's not really
that one is not a problem. But it's the human part. The human problem is what we need to look at and we need to punish. Recently, I saw in the DC, I think Menya Krobo, in his district, there are revenue collectors who have they've stolen government revenue. They are keeping it in their pockets, as though their pockets are the bank accounts of the district. What has happened? They have sacked some of the revenue collectors. Some of them have been transferred. I was sad when I heard that one has been transferred. Is it transferred to continue the bad ways in another district or what? So what we need, the government has actually given us his posture. His posture is expenditure discipline. Government is not ready to, overspend. That is why when he realized that the energy sector part is going to increase, he has quickly introduced the deal just to match it up. So if this is the posture, how to deal with this risk is to punish people. Let the government come clear. If you do this, if you price in this foreign currencies, these are the punishment we will give to you. In fact, there are regulators. The regulators need to actually be on their feet and actually stamp out these things so that these risks are not risks that are beyond management. These are risks that we can control. They are more of a human problem risk. And I believe that with this government posture, if you add strict punishment. Yes, and I think we'll actually bypass this kind of risk.
Thank you so much. Mr. Nelson, before you give a comment on this, I'd like to touch on the issue of VAT. The VAT reforms.
Yes.
People are expecting that COVID-19 levy, at least in this media budget review, at least it should go. But the government is telling that they are still preparing the bill to be presented to Parliament on September and by October. So in next year, we're not going to see this thing happening. I want to touch on what's the issue of our VAT reforms. What should government do?
All right. So I am a tax practitioner. I am a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation Ghana. And these are things that we worked with on daily basis. Let me say that Ghana's VAT rate is one of the highest within the sub-region. And so when you go to any supermarket in Ghana and you buy anything, they'll give you the price of what you have bought. They will give you NHIL 2.5%. They will give you Get Fund 2.5%. And they will give you COVID-19 levy 1%. Then they will add those 2.5%, so it's 6%. They will add it to the price of the goods. Then on it, they will not come and compute VAT of 15%. So that is the cascading effect we are talking about, because it's it's in steps, cascading effect. Now, as I said, in taxation, there is something we call the Laffer effect. The Laffer effect is like this.
Okay.
So this is the tax rate, and this is the tax revenue, and it goes this way. The LIFA first says that there is a maximum rate at which tax revenue would decline because of non-compliance. You understand? Yeah. And so when you draw the cone like this, at the middle here, that is the maximum rate at which you can charge. Anything beyond that maximum rate, your tax revenue will come down because it becomes too much for businesses to bear. And so once your tax rate is too much, people will not comply. So it is always prudent to make sure that the taxes that you are rolling out, they are business friendly. Okay. And so we all agree as practitioners that the current VAT regime in Ghana is distorted and it's not business friendly. Okay. And so during the budget that he presented on the 11th of March, he made mention of the fact that they are seeking technical assistance from the IMF in order to recalibrate and relook at the VAT regime. So he gave an update that what the COVID-19 levy will go. Yeah. I am of the view that Ghanaians generally, we don't have problem paying taxes. If you go out, you ask any Ghanaian, they will tell you they don't have problem paying taxes. The only challenge we have is how our tax revenue is used. That is the challenge we have. Okay. So I am even of the view that why don't you convert the COVID levy into a free SHS levy?
Convert COVID levy into a free SHS levy.
So that whatever revenue you get from that free SHS levy, then you use it for the recurrent expenditure of the senior high schools and even capitation grant of basic schools.
Someone will also argue we have Get Fund.
Yes. So now Get Fund, the law that actually establishes Get Fund, the legislative intent behind Get Fund is infrastructural development across all schools, campuses. It's not supposed to go and buy rice and oil. You understand? Yeah. So that is my personal opinion. Okay. However, so if you convert it, you have a sustainable source of the recurrent expenditure of the senior high schools. So there is money there for the full. But one thing I want to commend this government for is that since they came to power, we haven't heard of any issue regarding feeding in any of the senior high schools. Exactly. That is something that the Minister of Education has perfectly handled. And so they said the COVID levy will go. Okay. They also made mention of the fact that they want to simplify the VAT in such a way that it will be business friendly. Yeah. Don't forget, the current regime, the levies, the Get Fund levy, all the three levy, they are not deductible. Now, in VAT, there is something we call output VAT and input VAT. Output VAT is the VAT you get when you sell. That is the output. The input VAT is the VAT you pay when you purchase. Okay. So at the end of the day, you need to net off the output VAT with the input VAT. The difference is what you pay to GRA. That is how it works.
I think I love this discussion. And we need to have a discussion on the taxation as a whole, so that Mr. Nelson will just teach us about taxation and how it works, so that viewers would appreciate. Yes. It's very well. On that note, I would like to bring Mr. Kwashi in. Our time is far gone. So just a quick one. What should the government do moving forward in terms of managing the economy? We know for the fact that there are lots of things in this budget we are supposed to talk about in terms of big push, in terms of 24-hour economy. But for the sake of it, we want to just limit ourselves to the few we've touched on. So what should government do moving forward?
I think a lot of things, okay, but let me just limit it to our discipline as a country. And one of the things that I'm actually looking at when all these macro indicators are improving is the cost of lending or cost of capital, okay, in the country. I know it is decreasing, but it is still on the high. Businesses or small and medium enterprises are borrowing from banks, I think on average 30% and above. He is at the capital side. It is too high for a business. So if inflation is dropping, cost of government, cost of borrowing from government, T-bill, is getting close to 10%. It's at 10.55 or so. So if government borrowing from from us is low. And we business people, we are going to borrow from the banks, and we are borrowing at a rate above 30%. It is too much.
Okay.
Government should look at it so that its main intention of stabilizing the economy for the private sector to take over will actually come to pass. Else, the whole thing will just be like nice statistics, beautiful statistics. But when we come down to the business people, when we come down to the farmers, people who are actually using capital to push the economy, we will still be there and we'll be crying.
We'll still be crying. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Nelson, before we go, what should government do?
Well, I think the economy is getting its weight now. The government is stabilizing the economy. The economy is generally stable. However, you cannot equate stability to resilience. The fundamentals are still fragile. Just as you mentioned, you cannot develop an economy with a cost of capital more than, currently the average lending rate in Ghana is around 28%. That is too much. And so at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana, that will end probably tomorrow, I expect the Bank of Ghana to cut down on its monetary policy rate by some 200 to 300 basis points in order to make lending more cheaper. And also in order for the fiscal policy and the monetary policy to realign. Because now that the government is spending, we expect economy to grow. And so we need a cheaper source of funding to support businesses. So I want the Bank of Ghana to relook at the monetary policy rate, cut it by some 200 to 300 basis points in order to make lending cheaper for businesses.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson Kujo, who is the head of finance for Meban Capital, and also to Mr. Stephen Kwashi, who is a financial analyst. And this discussion has been so amazing, and I know you have really learned a lot when it comes to especially VAT, when it comes to revenue, and all aspects of the budget or running an economy. We'll be having more discussions about the media budget review, God willing, on Thursday on the business update segment. So continue to follow Clogtv, continue to watching Clogtv, and we will bring you amazing content all the time. I am Clement Yabankwe, and I have been your host throughout this segment. Up next is the main discussion. Don't go anywhere. Stick and stay right here with us. Just after this short break, we'll come your way once again. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. And if you're just tuning in, we're about to have our main discussion. We're going to be talking about domestic violence. Now, before we get into the conversation, of course, I would like to take us through something quickly. And yes, it says here, domestic violence in Ghana represents a pervasive challenge that undermines the safety and well-being of countless individuals, particularly women and children. This multifaceted issue encompasses a range of abusive behaviors, including physical violence, the emotional manipulation, sexual coercion, and economic control. Despite the enactment of the Domestic Violence Act in 2007, which aims to provide legal protection and support for victims, deeply entrenched cultural norms and societal attitudes continue to perpetuate the cycles of abuse. In many communities, traditional beliefs often reinforce gender inequality, leading to the normalization of violence within intimate relationships. Now, victims frequently encounter barriers to reporting abuse, including the fear of stigma, lack of trust in law enforcement, insufficient access to support services, among others. Furthermore, many individuals may not recognize certain behaviors as abusive, complicating efforts to seek help. The impact of domestic abuse extends beyond immediate physical harm. It has profound psychological effects on victims and their families, often leading to long-term trauma that can affect children who witness such violence. The lack of adequate resources such as shelters, counseling services, and legal aid, particularly in rural areas, exacerbates the situation and leaves many victims without the support they need. Efforts to combat domestic violence in Ghana are gaining momentum within various government and non-governmental institutions or organizations working to raise awareness, advocate for victims, and promote educational initiatives aimed at challenging societal attitudes. However, significant challenges remain necessitating a collective commitment from all sectors of society to create a safer environment and ensure that victims have access to the resources and support they deserve. Now, this gives us a bit of an insight into domestic violence, and I'd like to remind us to tune in, call a friend, text a friend to tune in, join in the conversation via our social media. That is by YouTube or Facebook, our live stream on there if you're not in the comfort of your home. Or you can tune in Clogtv or Go TV channel 184 and also send your questions, send your comments, experiences, and some support that you need. You can send that to our WhatsApp number displayed onto your screen or onto the YouTube and Facebook live stream. Now, I have with me in the studio an official from DOVSU, and she is in the person of ACP Miss Owusu Achereme. She is a director at DOVSU, and she'll be taking us through what domestic violence is about. I'll do my best to read your questions aloud and also get her to answer some of those questions for you. And we'll try our best to also break it down. Maybe we'll have a part 2 because definitely we will not be able to exhaust this in an hour. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Right. So you are ACP, the director. So what does that mean? What role is that, please?
Assistant Commissioner of Police.
Okay.
And Director of DOVSU.
Okay. So what does the role involve or entail?
It entails a lot of things. Administrative, supervisory role, investigative role as well. So it entails a lot.
Okay.
And it also entails this awareness creation, engaging with policymakers, donor communities to also solicit funding for the work of DOFSU.
Right.
Because the work of DOFSU entails a lot. And without funding, it will be difficult to enforce the laws on gender-based violence, domestic violence.
Right. Okay, so we know that DOFSU is Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about what DOFSU is?
Okay, so it was originally set up in 1998 as Women and Juvenile Unit.
Yeah,
of the
WAJU,
Ghana.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
WAJU. It was then known as WAJU. But in 2005, the name was changed from Women and Juvenile Unit to Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. So initially when it was set up, it was mainly to address concerns of women within the domestic setting, women facing some form of abuse, as well as juveniles.
Right.
But along the line, we realized that men were also going through some form of violence. And so in 2005, the name was changed. And I would like to bring to the attention of the general public that it shows the commitment of the Ghana Police Service in handling issues of domestic violence, because at the time it was set up, there was no specific law that was addressing issues of domestic violence.
Right.
So because it was set up in 1998. So we were using the Criminal Offences Act 29. Then in 2005, we changed the name to domestic violence to cover everybody within the domestic setting.
Right.
And then fortunately, the act was passed in 2007. And so in 2007, we had a specific law that criminalizes domestic violence in Ghana.
All right. Okay, speaking of the law, what exactly constitutes the domestic violence, or what exactly constitutes domestic violence under our law here in Ghana?
So when we talk about domestic violence, we just under our law, it has to do with any act, specific act. So it could be a series of acts. It could be just a single act that constitute physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, economic abuse, or any act that causes harm under the Criminal Offences Act 1960 Act 29.
Okay.
So what it simply means is that any form of harm that the person suffers within the domestic setting that could lead to physical abuse, sexual abuse, economic abuse, harassment, any conduct or behavior that takes away the dignity of an individual or hamper the security of an individual amounts to domestic violence.
Right.
So the question therefore will be, what do we mean by domestic? And it applies to people in domestic relationship. So the law also defines what domestic relationship is, and it includes relationship by blood and then relationship by law.
Okay.
So relationship by blood is a normal father, mother, sister, grandfather, grandmother, and all that. And then the relationship by law is through adoption, fostering, if you are a guardian to somebody. And then you have the other form of relationship, which is household workers, like gardeners, house helps, and all that. And then your in-laws. So the in-laws too is by law. You are related. The law says you are family, not because you are blood, but your family. That's what the law says. So your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your wife. And it also applies to people who are in a current relationship or previous relationship. So it doesn't matter if you are no longer married. The Domestic Violence Act still applies to you if there's some form of abuse between the two of you.
Right. Okay. So, I read here, you mentioned the sexual abuse, economic, and even physical abuse. So, even an emotional abuse.
Emotional, verbal, psychological.
So there's verbal too, yes, because I don't think we mentioned verbal abuse.
Yes, verbal abuse. We have emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse as well.
So if, someone comes to the police saying that maybe my parents are verbally abusing me, is that something that would be taken up?
Yes.
Right.
It includes all within the domestic setting.
Okay.
So if it's your father, your mother who is abusing you verbally, psychologically, emotionally, we will take the matter up. So, when it comes to emotional, verbal, psychological, they are kind of intertwined. Because verbal could lead to emotional abuse, and verbal could lead to psychological, depending on, the individual and the words used. And then once you have an emotional, going through emotional abuse, it could also lead to psychological. So these three are mostly interlinked. Once you find one, the possibility that you find the other two is very high.
Okay, so my next question might digress a little before we follow the order. But when does discipline become domestic abuse? Because in our traditional setting, you know, a lot of our older generation tends to believe in the spare the rod and spoil the child. So where then is the line drawn?
In fact, I don't know whether you're talking about physical abuse.
Yes, with physical abuse.
Yeah, I mean, corporal punishment, is that what like beating a child?
Beating the child. Okay. Or sometimes sometimes your parents may use certain words when you don't perform to their standard, especially in school, or compare you to your mates, or even beat you. And sometimes they have weapons they use to beat you and things like that. So when do we draw the line?
So they are all forms of abuse. The law allows you to correct your child, but the correction should not lead to harm.
Okay.
And the correction should not include beatings. There are other avenues, depending on the settings that you find yourself, that you can develop to restrict a child, to ensure that the child conforms to discipline. It's important. You can't just leave a child and say the child could do whatever he or she wants to. The child grows up and becomes a liability.
Yeah.
So most of the time, it's about communication and also withdrawing certain privileges. But those privileges must not be lifeline in terms of food.
Okay.
You can't say you can withdraw a child's mobile phone. Maybe the child sits on goes on the internet forever and will not study. So you could decide that, you know what, you can use your phone from maybe in an hour a day to do ABCD, after which I'm taking the phone away. This will not amount to abuse, but you cannot say because you are a stubborn child, consistently I tell you to do A, you do Z, so I'm withholding food, I will not buy clothing for you, so the child will be walking around in tattered clothing when indeed you can afford, then there is a problem.
Right.
So you need to adapt different needs. So for instance, if the child likes playing outside, she won't do homework, he will not do homework, you ask her or him or her to assist at home, and the person is always outside, you can decide to ban the child. The child, mind you, is entitled to play. It's a child's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can only limit the duration, that you can go out and play throughout the day and not do anything. So you say, okay, you can do 1 hour a day, or I'm restricting you, finish your homework before you go out. It's reasonable, it's fair. But to beat, in fact, let me take this opportunity to say that now issues of child abuse has become so very common, including, it's not just, causing harm, it's not discipline, it goes beyond discipline. You have children who are being burnt with iron, with hot water, and other things. It's against the law. It affects a child psychologically, physically, and psychologically. So I want to use this opportunity to educate the general public, especially parents who do that, stepmothers, and sometimes real parents, mothers also do say, to desist from it, because if you don't and you cause that harm, as long as we are able to arrest you, get in touch with a video or get information, we definitely will look for you and build evidence against you and go to court.
Right. Okay. So this digression was to get our parents to hear this right from the police or from DOVSU about training their children. Yes, the beatings may not always be necessary. You can look for other forms.
The beating is not necessary.
Okay, it's not necessary.
Yes, we discourage beating.
Some children.
No, there are ways. There are a lot of ways. As I indicated, you can take away some privileges.
Okay.
And let the child know that there are certain consequences. And sometimes it's about talking to the child. There's some people you explain to them that this is not wrong. These are the repercussions. Let them take responsibility for actions that they take, but it should exclude beating, because sometimes there's only a thin line between I'm correcting the child by beating the child and also causing harm.
Right. Okay, so it's getting very, very informative and educative here. So please do well to call a friend, text a friend, to join in the conversation. Send your questions to our WhatsApp number displayed onto your screen, or to our YouTube or Facebook live stream. Just search Clogtv, follow, subscribe, and share the link. So now back to our order. Can you please take us through the forms of domestic abuse which go beyond the physical abuse?
So
Or
let me
domestic
start
violence, yes.
Yeah. So we have different forms of domestic abuse, domestic violence. The first one, we have physical abuse. So under the Domestic Violence Act 732, when we talk about physical abuse, we are not referring directly to assault. So when you come to us and you've been assaulted, we will not charge you under the Domestic Violence Act, but rather under the Criminal Offences Act. And under
Okay, so not to cut you, but then what is the difference between the abuse and assault?
So I'm going to...
Okay.
So when we talk about physical abuse under Domestic Violence Act, we are referring to situations where you don't provide enough rest for people who are living with you. So for instance, if your house help is staying with you and then you don't give the house help enough rest, it amounts to physical abuse. If you don't give any person dependent on you enough food to eat, it amounts to physical abuse. If you don't give somebody who is dependent on you enough clothing to wear, it also amounts to physical abuse. And also when you confine somebody to a space and say, I'm not going to allow you to move here and there, it also could amount to physical abuse. Now, the assault is a situation where I physically hit you. So hitting somebody could amount to physical abuse, unless in other circumstances, depending on the situation. Maybe you're sitting somewhere and the person was trying to harm you, attack you, and you fought back. It's different. But in terms of assault, is where somebody physically hit you, assault you. So as we sit here, if I hit you, maybe there's a disagreement between us, we are talking, and instead of us to keep exchanging words, I come and hit you, it amounts to physical assault. So when you come to us and there is an assault, you report assault, we will not charge you under the physical abuse. But under the Criminal Domestic Violence Act, there is no section where it talks about assault. It rather talks about not giving somebody enough sleep, not giving somebody
their
enough
basic
food.
needs.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we have sexual abuse. Sexual abuse under the Domestic Violence Act is different from rape and defilement.
Okay.
So when you present to us in our office with rape, sexual act itself, then we'll charge you under the Domestic Violence Act. Okay. But when you come with some other form of sexual abuse, including an individual having sex with you and the person at the time of having sex with you knew that he or she had a sexually transmitted infection and did not tell you, would amount to sexual abuse.
Right.
If somebody has HIV and the person wants to go to bed with another person, he or she must declare his status, that I have this condition. If the person decides to sleep with you, then that's fine. There will be no offense. If you also engage in some sexual practices that kind of degrades the individual, takes away the dignity of the individual, that could also amount to sexual abuse. Then we have economic abuse. Economic abuse is a situation where you refuse somebody who is entitled to some financial assistance by law. You refuse to comply with that responsibility. Then economic abuse. So for instance, if your child is dependent on you, you take care of your kids, you refuse to take care of your child, it could amount to economic abuse. The child is entitled to a daily subsistence allowance, you refuse to give the person, your spouse is also dependent on you, and by law you're supposed to take care of your spouse, you refuse to do that, it's also economic abuse. If an individual also has a material interest in a movable or immovable property, and you also deny the person the usage of that property, it could also amount to economic abuse. And the fact that you even threaten is not just actual prevention, but the threat of it. Because under domestic violence, you don't need to carry out the threat, the act. Once you threaten the individual, you've committed the offense. Okay. So if you threaten that, you know what, for some reason, if you joke, I won't allow you to use this book, that car, this and that, it amounts to economic abuse. Then we have emotional abuse. Emotional abuse simply has to do with anything that consistently makes a person unhappy, afraid, jittery. So it could be the way you treat the person, emotionally abusing the person, the words you use can, anytime the person sees you, the person panics. She or he hears the sound of your vehicle or you opening the door, your footsteps, it's enough to make the person panic. It amounts to emotional abuse. And of course, the psychological is a mental health issue. How it impacts the person psychologically, makes the person feel. And the verbal abuse is the normal, you know, the insults, the usage of words that demeans a person. And that's why I'm saying that when you look at emotional, verbal, psychological, they are kind of related. I mean, verbal abuse could make a person feel, you know, because verbal abuse, the insult, it comes also with threats. If you joke, I'll kill you. And sometimes people will really show you the weapon if they have a weapon. Yeah. They'll show you the weapon. So you are in the house and you don't feel safe. And then we also have harassment. Harassment in different forms. It could be sexual harassment. It could be, you know, not making the person feel comfortable in the situation. And also we have behaviors and conduct that kind of make the person not feel like a human being, make the person lose his or her dignity. And this also, and you can tie this into verbal abuse. And then you also have situations where your conduct puts the safety of that individual, the security of that individual at risk. So these are, in a nutshell, the various offenses. Now, when it comes to the criminal, under the Criminal Offences Act, that's where we have rape, we have defilement, and so on and so forth. So when you come and there's actual penetration, then we go under rape, Criminal Offences Act, which is rape and then defilement.
All right. Okay. So I want to ask about the economic abuse. I think one question that may be on a lot of people's minds, in that maybe a husband and wife, and they got married. The lady may want to work, and then the husband is preventing her from working. Can that be termed as economic abuse? Yes,
it is economic abuse. In fact, it's one of depriving a partner from gaining economic power is one of the signs of abuses. So they will make you dependent on them. So they will start off mostly with very good argument that, oh, why don't you stop work and stay home? I'll pay you X amount of money every month and take care of the home. And it would appear as very good suggestion, because after all, you are partners and you're supposed to be team players. Yeah. So you think, why not? Why not support? You stay home and you realize that if you are even lucky, maybe the first month the salary will come, after which no money will come. You're stuck in the home. You do everything. He keeps on chasing after his or her career, and you are left home. So normally, that's the first step. That's the first signal to abuse. This is not to say it happens in all cases when somebody, your partner, agrees with you that why don't you stay home and I do the work and then I provide for everything you need. But most of the time, it's the starting point.
So in a situation like that, can the person who is being deprived of their economic rights come to DOVSU to seek some redress?
Yes, if the person is preventing you from working, yes, it's economic abuse.
Yes, but so in a situation where now this lady is fully dependent on her husband, she comes to DOVSU, and yes, DOVSU takes action and everything. Now the husband is even angrier, and now, you know, for the fact that she has no financial independence, what happens to her?
So if you come to us and you report about economic abuse, we will first and foremost educate the man of his responsibilities in the situation. Now, if we educate you on the steps you're taking and its implications, if you are able to go back and rectify, that's okay. But if you don't rectify it and say, okay, I didn't know by doing A, B, C, D, it amounted to economic abuse. The woman wants to work. You can't prevent her from working. She needs to work. She needs to go back to work. We will educate you on that one. If the person agrees not to do so, then that's fine. If not, if we gather the evidence and decide that we can proceed to court to prosecute, we will prosecute. Because first and foremost, we are a law enforcement agency. We fight crime. But in between, we try to link the woman up to the appropriate quarters where she can have the needed services. So for instance, if she wants to work and she's able to apply to organizations, why not? We will let her know it's her right. She can continue to do that, to apply for a job and so on and so forth. Mind you, under the Court Act, clients or people can decide to, instead of going to the court, to go to arbitration and resolve their issues. So the law encourages arbitration, but it's limited. It's not all cases that you can arbitrate. And some of the cases that we send to court to, all the offenses under the Domestic Violence Act are misdemeanors. So under the law, you can resolve a misdemeanor through ADR. But if it's aggravated misdemeanor or felony cases, that one is beyond the range of ADR. So we normally will send the case to court because we always prefer to go through the court process. It is a way to make the person realize that there are consequences for the action. If you go to the court then will decide on its own to say, let me refer the case to arbitration. Or one of them can suggest to the court that, can we do arbitration? And if the court agrees, they go to arbitration and then they resolve it. So it's not all the cases that you come, one, that even if we find evidence, goes through the criminal proceeding. Some are referred to arbitration and then others to the individuals decide to withdraw. So in this particular case, if it is an abuse, economic abuse, we'd explain to the man the consequences. We could still forward it to court. But if the person decides to say, oh, I'll allow her to work, if she wants to work, she can go ahead and work, then there's no need. We would only warn him not to revisit that character again.
All right. So as I mentioned in the intro, there are sometimes cultural aspects to this. So I think in our African setting, there's always that notion that when the woman starts to work, she doesn't submit anymore, she's not as respectful. So in a situation where you've educated the man, he understands, financial freedom is also very important, but he claims he's afraid his wife would no longer be submissive. How then do you handle such an issue?
We are not there to ask people to be submissive. That's not what we
do. As a justification for preventing her from working.
We don't know that word. We don't know the word submissive in our line of duty.
Right.
Because the question is, submit to what?
To his authority.
No, what authority? You are partners and you're supposed to show respect to each other. So when you come to us, we don't go on that tangent.
Okay.
It will be unprofessional on our part to ask somebody to be submissive. When you come, we deal with the law. We deal with people's rights. So when you come to us, we educate you on the law. And there is nowhere in the law that says that A must submit to B. But we make you aware that in your partnership, which is marriage, there's a need for the two of you to respect each other, communicate openly and clearly, and also as marriage couple, two people in a marriage, there must be compromise.
because I mean the two of you have grown up in two different environments. You like hot tea in the morning. Somebody likes banku in the morning. You can't force your opinion. So if you have money to only do one meal, then that's why you have to communicate, and then you compromise. One of you must compromise. But we don't talk about submissiveness. We just talk about the law.
Right.
That's what we do.
Okay. So the questions have started coming in. So this one says, good morning, Koko Digest. Great discussion. Thank you for bringing in... Okay, no, before that, hey, there are three. Right. Okay, so this one says, hello, Koko Digest. Good morning. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity in their relationships. But in Ghana, say what you want to say. So the person is asking that what are the consequences for perpetrators of domestic violence here in Ghana? And this is Mr. Kwanzaa in Tamale.
So as I indicated earlier on, all the offenses captured under domestic violence are misdemeanor offenses. And so the highest jail term you will have is 2 years or 500 penalty units. And one penalty unit is 120.
Okay.
So it's either imprisonment or a fine or both.
Okay.
But when you come and realize that it's an aggravated misdemeanor, we will look for offenses under the Criminal Offences Act at 1960 at 29. So for instance, if you present with sexual abuse, we are not going to charge you. Rape is a form of sexual abuse. Defilement is also a form of sexual abuse. So if you come and say you've been sexually abused, and then we listen to you and realize that it's rape, there's no way you're going to charge you with sexual abuse, the suspect with sexual abuse under domestic violence.
Okay.
We will charge
the
exactly, which will give you a
higher.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, we took a person to court, an accused person, and he was sentenced to 45 years imprisonment for defilement. And he was a second offender.
Okay.
And that's why, because the maximum for defilement is 25 years, jail term is 25 years. But he was a second offender, and so he was given 45 years.
Okay. Right. So our questions are still coming in. Someone wants to call. Now the phone lines are not yet open, so please send WhatsApp messages for now. When they're opened, I'll let you. Yes. And based on the time, I think we will have to have part 2 very soon. Yeah. So the next question here is, good morning, Koko Digest, great discussion. Thank you for bringing Dovsu. So my question, Yaya, please, are there any support groups or resources for victims of domestic violence? This is Victoria Asante in Alajo.
Oh, very good question. So for now, Dovsu in 2020, we took a decision to create a adapt a survivor-centered approach in our dealing with survivors of domestic violence. And so we set up a Dovsu One-Stop Center. Okay. So at that One-Stop Center, you have all the facilities, all the services that a survivor of domestic violence will need. So at the One-Stop Center, which is situated behind the CID block, we have police, which is Dovsu. We have two courts there. We have a safe space for survivors if they need to stay. We also have clinical psychologists. We have legal aid, pro bono lawyers. We have social welfare. We have a clinic and a laboratory. And all the services that we provide there are free. So when you come to us and you are a survivor, you come to, especially if you happen to be within the Accra region and you come to Dovsu, all the medical services that we provide for you will be free. And then you would also have access to a clinical psychologist. You don't have to pay. And then also legal services free of charge. Right. So we have free counseling. In fact, between 2023 to 2025, we've provided over 300 psychosocial support to survivors of gender-based domestic violence. And some of them range from the cases ranges from suicidal attempts to suicide thought to post-traumatic stress disorder and all that, yes. Right. So we intend to do same in all the regions. So we're starting with Kumasi after Accra, Kumasi, then we'll move to Sunyani, and then gradually to all other regions.
Okay, so while that is in motion, are there specific areas that we can find Dovsu, even if it's not just the maybe main police headquarters?
So we are within, in all the regional capitals across the country, you can find Dovsu. And also in Accra, we are just around here, ministries. We have some in Dansoman, Adenta, Madina, Amasamai, Kaswa. We have also in Ashama, and then in Kumasi we have Asokwa and other places. So they are all over the country. So wherever you are, go to the nearest police station and ask for Dovsu, and the police personnel there will direct you.
Okay, so now back to the questions. So this one says, good morning, Koko Digest. Interesting trending topic here. Kudos, Koko Digest. Kudos, Dovsu. Please, does Dovsu work with Antina? This is from G Inspire in Adenta.
No.
Okay.
No.
But are there instances where maybe she transfers some of the people she listens to
Okay, so I am at the national headquarters, and it hasn't come to my notice. So maybe the local Dovsu there she might have referred a case to them.
Okay.
But for now, I am not aware.
Right. So this one says, good show, Yaira. What if someone wants to leave an abusive home but has nowhere else to go? What are the options available? This is Jessie from Kaswa.
So we have limited shelters. And if the person wants to go, I can put out a number and the person can get in touch with us. Okay. So we have two numbers. One is toll free.
Okay.
0800
0800
000
900.
That's toll free. So when you call this number, we pay for it, you don't pay. And then we have the WhatsApp number, which is 055 1 0 0 900. So you WhatsApp us or you call us on our toll-free number.
Okay, so the toll-free number again is 0800. That is 0800 000. So in the end, you have 08, then 5 zeros, then 900. 080 00 900. Then the WhatsApp number is 0551 000 900. That is 900. 055 100 0900. So please do take note of these numbers and seek the necessary help you can get.
And we are now also on the social media space.
Yes, social
media.
Are
on TikTok,
at
Facebook, at Dovsu Ghana.
Dovsu Ghana.
On all our handles is Dovsu Ghana.
Okay.
So search for Dovsu Ghana. So TikTok, X, and then Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So we encourage them to like, and then we're also on YouTube.
Okay.
To like, follow us. With time, we'll be going live. And we also have our own podcast now as a means of creating awareness. And so when we do our the recordings, we put them on the YouTube.
Right.
So we encourage people to also subscribe to our YouTube. It's all Dovsu Ghana.
Okay, so you can find Dovsu on the various social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, at Dovsu Ghana. So just search for Dovsu Ghana, and then you can follow and like, share, subscribe to their pages. Now, another question here says, no, okay, sorry, give me a minute. Okay, yes. So it's continuing, I think. No, it's a different person. Now it says here, sometimes neighbors hear or see abuse, but they stay quiet. What should we do if we suspect something is wrong? This is Mariatha and Awoshi.
Yes, thank you very much. That's why we're giving out our numbers. I must recommend all the individuals who've been reaching us to give us information. Ever since we launched the number, a lot of information has been given to us by people and has led to a lot of arrests. So anytime you see something and you're not comfortable intervening immediately, kindly WhatsApp us, tell us where it is happening, how we can get there, and we'll definitely get there. And nobody will know you reach out to us.
Okay. Thank you so much. All too soon, our time is up. We were supposed to go longer, but we had more segments. And I'm hoping that we will have a part 2 because there's a whole lot we need to delve into. Intimate partner violence and gender-based violence, every kind of violence that, is going on in the world. We need to talk about it. So thank you all so much for sending in your comments and questions. I can tell you have a lot of questions. And yes, the toll-free number and the WhatsApp number is displayed on your screen. So please do take note and, direct your questions to them. Or if you like, you can also wait. The next time we have the part 2, you can ask again as well. Thank you so much. We need a part 2. This was not enough. This conversation. Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you all. We will see you again bright and early on Thursday morning. Do have an amazing week ahead.